Welcome to the greatest American art form, the mixtape. Mixtape, a homemade compilation of media typically from multiple sources recorded into a medium. Mixtape Therapy, a compilation of authentic conversations recorded by multiple people on my podcast. Our connections are experiences that we have, and I hope these mixtapes make us feel more connected. Remember, be authentic. They'll adjust.
All right, Logan, here are the categories. The good, the bad, reflection, tough questions, or wild card. But that wild card one is just like, hey, we're all going to take shots and stuff like that. It's like, it's action stuff. So yeah, the wild card doesn't, it's not really, but okay. So good, bad.
I'd say reflection. I'm a reflector of sorts.
Okay. Let me just pull the first one off the top.
All right.
If we've already done it before, we'll just
Put me on the spot.
We'll do another one. When was the last time you were proud of yourself?
The last time I was proud of myself, of myself, I'd say truly was like I did a trip to Colombia last year, and like I kind of went on my own and just kind of like figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And like being able to like go through, like I just had some bullshit Spanish I was kind of throwing out there, and just being able to like make my way through and like make it back to the States alive. I'd say that was probably like.
Well, I mean, is that kind of like walking onto the UT football team a little bit?
A little bit, I kind of like miss the feeling of like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to throw myself out there and just figure the shit out and then just, make my way through, I guess a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it was more like, with walk on, like becoming a walk on, it was more like my mom and my high school football coach pushed me to do it. This was like me being like, I think you need to go do this. So,
but I mean, you might not have got there without that initial push. You know what I mean? Like that initial, yeah.
No, for sure. Like that's kind of influenced me. Like,
Trey, when was the last time you were proud of yourself? He's like today.
Coming on this podcast is very brave. No, I'm just kidding.
It is kind of brave.
I get accused of talking too much on a daily basis, so it's not a big deal for me to come and talk.
He's so brave.
No, I officiated a wedding back in December, actually. Some good friends of mine, we had been at another wedding that was officiated by a different friend, and the fiance, my buddy's then fiance, now wife, came up to me kind of on the dance floor and was like, "Oh, that was so beautiful. I can't wait for you to do our wedding." And I thought she was kidding because we'd all been drinking. And then a couple weeks later, my buddy called me up and he said, "Hey, man, by the way, like Catherine wasn't joking. We do actually want you to do our wedding if you'll do it." And I said, "Yeah, sure. I mean, I could do that. I got a comm degree. I've spoken in front of people before, but I got ordained through the Universal Life Church.
Same.
So, I'm a brother of the cloth.
Man, y'all just won't stop going to school together, will y'all?"
It's nerve-wracking though, like doing a wedding, because you're like, this is so fucking important for someo's life, and like I don't want to fuck up one word.
So I put together about a 10-minute speech, sermon, whatever you want to call it. They're not particularly religious, so I didn't really put any of that in the speech, but it clocked in at about 10 minutes, and I did it completely off the dome with no notes.
No shit.
And people that were there said it was good. So
that's ballsy
to be asked to do something like that on such a big day for some very, very dear friends of mine, and then to have it go, it went well, but it went the way I saw it going in my head, which like with how I prepared, that was the big thing for me. It was like, if this goes the way I want it to go, it's going to be good.
Like, but you knew them well. Like, I'm assuming.
And I think that's a big part of the reason they had asked is because I had been there literally like from the jump. So I kind of told the story of their relationship as I had seen it.
Yeah.
And from being closer to the groom than the bride, but close to both of them. But I told the story as I had seen it develop. And then I worked in some kind of marriage advice that had been relayed to me by a friend of mine, and then how that lined up with how they were as a couple. And so it went well, and I got asked to do another wedding not long after that. So that was pretty cool.
You know what the hardest part for me was whenever I officiated a wedding was like remembering to stop and say, "Everyone be seated."
I probably 4 or 5 times people told me like, "Hey, don't forget that."
You forget because like you get started, you get riled up, you start going, and you don't know you're standing. You forget that everyone else is standing too.
Yeah. And that and remembering to step out of the way for the first kiss.
Oh yeah.
So you're not just standing
Like in
there,
there?
creeping.
Like between the.
Hey, I'm just a guy that likes to watch, you know. So I had to step out of the way. But no, that was big for me, and they were more than nice about it. They were so appreciative, and they're, as a couple, I just love them. So that was cool. That was really special.
All right, Trey. The choices that are left are the good, the bad, and tough questions.
Oh, you know I got to pick tough questions.
He's a toughie.
Got to.
All right, so we'll do the same thing. Just
How
if
much
we
do
don't,
you make a year before taxes?
we'll do the same
Fuck,
thing.
marry, kill.
If we don't like the question, just move on to the next one. And I mean, some of these are pretty rough. Just like to let you know.
Your best friend, the queen of England.
Okay. What secret have you kept from Logan?
Ooh,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You asked for tough questions, man.
Ooh.
I did. Honestly,
I mean, and you might not have any. That's what I realized. Like really good friends.
yeah, I can't look like you got to realize like Logan and I have been through some shit together. Like I think our freshman year, I spent Father's Day with Logan's family right after Logan's namesake grandfather had passed away.
Yeah.
And like Logan was at my dad's funeral. So like there's not a lot like unsaid between Logan and I. So
Okay, you want to do another tough question?
Let's
or you
keep going, dude. The tough questions are fucking worth it. I
peeling
guess.
back the layers.
Peel back the layers.
Okay,
The
we'll do.
dudes are emerging.
Taste this onion.
We'll do another tough question, and then we'll go to these last two. Okay.
All right.
And we don't have. I'll ask them, and you can decide if you want to answer them or not. What's something that Logan has done that hurt you that you never told him? I mean,
I don't feel like you ever really crossed me at any point.
okay. How about
honest.
this
What
one?
about when I smashed your finger with a 10-pound
You
plate?
piece of shit.
So we've talked about that a couple times. We were like, when we first walked on, we had to work out separately from the team. And it was like smaller weight, like a lot of body weight stuff. They were teaching us like mechanics.
Big fundamentals.
And we were doing side shoulder raises with 10-pound weights. So you would finger blast the weight basically. You got two fingers in the middle of it, and we're just going out to the side. And Logan, having like been my Sherpa for the last week, like I think this guy is just so wise because he's been giving me the lay of the land. I go up and catch him on the way down and just smash the fuck out of Logan's finger.
Broke two of my fingers. I was sitting there like, what
it
the
was one of those
fuck?
where it didn't cut him, but it hit his finger so hard that it like broke the skin in a very aggressive way. And he's bleeding from the finger, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I'm just like leaning over, like,
I was like, "Dude, are you okay?" And Logan, it was very much the just like when you're a kid and you like hit your dad in the nuts accidentally, where they're just like, "I don't want to talk about it." Like, let's just move on. I'm fine. And so
I still
after that,
love you. I care about you. We'll get through this.
My kid punched me in the balls just like earlier today.
I was there for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, "What the fuck? Where'd that come from, man? It hurt."
There was also the hit counter.
Oh, there was the hit counter. Trey had a thing where like it was his way of interacting with people. He'd like hit you on the shoulder, like punch on
I would
the
just
shoulder.
walk up and be like, "What's up, dude?"
And at one point, I let him know. I was like, "For the record, I don't like that. There's a number. I don't know. I don't even know the number. But once you hit the number, I'm gonna flip my fucking shit. And I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
He was just like, once you get to that number, and I'm not gonna tell you where you're at along the scale, and I don't know what the number is, but when you reach that number, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna kick your ass
For some reason,
or I'm gonna try to. And I was like, fair.
And let's realize a lot of times when we're first meeting up is like 5:30, 6 a.m. like in the morning. And he's just like, "What's up, dude?"
And I'm
Punch
a
on the
morning
shoulder.
person,
Like,
so
"What?"
like when I'm in there, like I'm fucking jazzed up.
Dude, I always thought I was a morning person. It turns out to be a morning person, you have to be fucking happy about being up. I thought I was a morning person because I could wake up. It turns out you just have to be fucking excited about it. You know
I
what I mean?
roll in. I almost got my ass kicked several times early on the team for being like too chipper in the mornings or just like talking too much. Like I had numerous dudes tell me like, "Hey, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna kick your ass." And I was like, "All right, that's fair."
All right, somebody's got it. Logan, it's your turn.
We're going to the bad. You already got it in your hands.
Yeah. So the good or the bad?
We're going to the bad.
You're doing the bad, man.
There's no ugly on there?
No, there's no ugly. I guess ugly is probably fucking tough questions.
Yeah, it's got to be. Jesus.
It's like ugly enough. We're just gonna kind of roll through these. Nothing, none of them work. Is there any problems that you and Trey need to resolve? Like, is there anything y'all need to work out? Like, is everything good?
Besides their sexual tension?
Nothing.
I don't know. I feel like we still communicate as far as like sending memes on Instagram and stuff, but we don't. I don't think we talk enough, and like that's definitely like a lot. I feel like you're more willing to talk than I am, like on the phone and stuff. Do you feel that way?
I never begrudge people like not being the ones to call. That's something I actually like got from my dad, because my dad would pick up the phone and just call random fucking people, and there was no rhyme or reason to it.
That was your dad to a T.
Yeah, he would just be like, "Nah, I just haven't talked to so and so in a while," or like, "Oh, I saw this thing on TV that made me think of like this person, so I called them." And so I'll be sitting at the house, and I just have this kind of internal clock where I'm like, man, like I send a lot of memes to Logan, but I haven't talked to him on the phone, and like I don't know what's going on in Logan's life. So I'll just pick up the phone and call, but I never take it personally if people don't call me. Because I'm like, life gets busy, people have shit going on. Like it doesn't mean they don't want to talk to me. Like they're just busy.
Yeah.
So
let me just say, I've never regretted picking up a phone call from Trey. Like he'll call me and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I'm on the call and I'm like, fuck, man. It's like this podcast. I'm like, dude, like I miss talking to this fucking guy, man. He's a good dude. I missed him.
Has Trey ever embarrassed you?
For sure. But I can't think of when.
I used to rag Logan.
Has Logan ever embarrassed you? You don't, to me, you don't seem like a guy that gets embarrassed.
I don't think Logan ever like embarrassed. So
I wouldn't do it like intentionally if I did.
There was a time when I was out with Logan when I didn't get embarrassed, but I just got like annoyed and left and walked home from 6th Street. Logan knows the time that I'm talking about. But I used to rag on Logan. Like we used to give each other a lot of shit, but specifically around like Logan had like 2 Hollister shirts when he got to college.
God damn it. I wore them on 2 separate fucking occasions.
And it just so happened
to
that,
see
like,
me on
the
each
2
fucking
times
occasion.
I hung out with Logan outside of football, he was wearing a Hollister. And I just, whatever, like I grew up broke. We couldn't even afford Hollister. But I just remember like giving him shit about it. And I showed
up to one morning workout with a Hollister sweater. Trey saw me. He didn't let it go. I showed up to one like after party thing with a fucking Hollister shirt, which is my fault. I'll take it. Okay, I'll take that one.
To this day, I gotta feel like if Logan walks by a Hollister store in the mall, he like gets a little itchy.
No, let me be honest. I went to Hollister like a year ago to like, we had like a come as you were party for like dresses you did in high school. I bought like a shirt, like unironically.
That's awesome.
That I still wear to this day.
Is it a great shirt?
It's a fucking awesome shirt.
You should wear it. Yeah.
It's great. So not ashamed is what I'm trying to say.
Is it ever uncomfortable when y'all have different opinions on stuff? Do y'all have different opinions on things?
I feel like we do, but like it's pretty like understood. Like,
if we've ever had a difference of opinion, I feel like Logan and I are on a very similar level. Like we can disagree in an academic sense, but it's not a reflection of like our personalities or our character.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always like, oh, I like you explain yourself. I'm like, oh, I can understand why you feel that way. And then like, as long as there's logic behind it, like I'm cool. Like, you know what I mean?
I very much believe agreeing to disagree is a lost art. Mm-hmm. And like when I was younger, my parents had friends that they disagreed with on like, you name it, taste, politics, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, well, Joe and Karen down the street, they're kind of wacky, but like they're still our friends. And I think that's a lost art in 2022. And I very much am big on like, okay, like I know that you feel that way. You don't have to justify yourself. This is how I feel. I'm not going to justify myself. We can agree to disagree, and we can still be friends, and we can still agree on the myriad of other things.
Your overall is the overall group like that? The whole walk-on group?
Like you have to imagine you're on a team of 120 something people who are all from different parts of Texas, out of the state, different parts of life. Like no one's going to agree on everything. So like every person in that room, you're going to disagree about something, something pretty significant typically.
There's also a lot of really uncomfortable conversations that were had when we were in college, because we were there from 2011 to 2015. So sign of the times, we were in college for Coney 2012.
Oh, wow.
We were in college for the beginning of Occupy Wall Street and the beginnings of Black Lives Matter. So you got 120 dudes from very different backgrounds and various upbringings and belief systems and things, like, while a lot of this really, really intense formative shit for our country was going on. So like a lot of uncomfortable conversations, a lot of learning, a lot of growth that came out of just talking to people in that locker room that were different than you and came up differently than you.
Yeah.
And like knowing like, hey, like we're going to do a drill and like you have to have my back. Like this,
Yeah.
like you have to perform your job and I'm going to perform mine. And this doesn't mean shit. Like, cause in this moment, we're all we have together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring your mic in a little bit, Trey. Like a little more points towards your face. Yeah, there you go.
Better. Yeah.
All right. Trey, tell me a time that you were proud of Logan.
I was, I guess there isn't like a specific time, but I was always just very, very impressed by Logan, like I said earlier, because he was so dedicated. I never, like, if I didn't have a test coming up, I could not study. I couldn't study to like better understand material. Logan would be like, oh no, hey, I got to go study. And it was, you know, oh, are you cramming for a test? And be like, no, I just don't understand this material well enough. So to balance football and engineering the way that Logan did, I was always very, very impressed by that. Cause I didn't have that ability from a studying like school standpoint.
For the record, it turns out that was a complex that I'm still working through. So,
Hey, Logan, tell me a positive change that you've seen in Trey since you met him.
that I've seen in Trey. I like Trey's always been very understanding, but I feel like that's like you've grown on that. Like you've like I don't know, like you were already like you mentioned like you're willing to like agree to disagree. But I felt like as good as you were, like whenever I met you, like you've grown with that and like being like very like accompanying, like forgiving of people and accepting of people. Like, I don't know. I feel like you've always like as good as you were at that whenever we first met, like you're even better than that now. Does
I
that make
appreciate
sense?
that.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. It's like when you get older and you have that first realization about your parents.
Oh
that,
yes, I love
they were just
I'm
like
still going through it.
normal ass people.
they were just young kids at one point
Yeah.
doing dumb shit and trying to figure it out. And so like when I think it's really important to humanize people and realize that everyone's just doing the best they can. So I always think about my dad was a funeral director by trade. So like I was around that a lot growing up, and you'd hear from a lot of people like, oh man, the last time we spoke, you know, we had this stupid argument and now I can't apologize to this person. So that it sounds really macabre, and especially for like a young man having that outlook. But I always just thought of like, how stupid would I feel if this was the last time we ever spoke and we were in an argument about something stupid, or you did something to me and I got all pissy about it. But like in the grand scheme of things, like, does it really matter? So I've always kind of tried to apply that logic to like my interactions with people in the way that like you give grace, because Lord knows like I've, you know, screwed up a bunch, and I would hope that people are forgiving to me. So I've always kind of tried to be that and do that for people.
I remember, sorry, parents, if you even listen. I remember when like me and my parents like kind of became like where I was like, oh, like y'all are like humans, like normal people, like y'all aren't perfect. Like what? That was weird. That I just went through my whole life thinking you aren't perfect, and then now you're kind of not, right?
And a lot of it too, in my opinion, is just like when you're a kid, you know, you have that childlike outlook of like good and bad. There are good people and there are bad people in the world, and it's black and white, and
It's easy to explain.
Definitive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can talk to a kid and say, hey, those people did those bad things because they're bad. Whereas you get older and you realize there's shades of gray, and you know you see the villains in movies and you're like, well, shit, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. So it kind of muddies the water, and then we operate in those shades of gray as we get older.
What is a and either one of y'all can answer this. What's something that's like a similarity between y'all that you like? What is something that y'all have a similar view on that you like about like Trey or Logan?
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, just being walk-ons in general, just being able to grind through stuff, just being like, hey, like, well, it's kind of shitty, and saying like, okay, well, like I've been through shitty stuff before. I can do it again. I think that's kind of like an interlinking bond.
Yeah, you eat a lot of. I always kind of jokingly tell people, like, as a walk-on, you eat a lot of shit sandwiches on hamburger buns, and people are like, why does it matter that it's a hamburger bun? Because if you're eating a sandwich on bread, you know, you bite that corner piece and it's more bread. But if you bite into a shit sandwich on a hamburger bun, however you bite into it, it's the same.
It's all shit.
And I use that analogy a lot.
Does that make it better or worse? I don't understand. Is the analogy?
Yes. I use that analogy a lot, but no, I think, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you just learn a lot of like stick-to-itiveness in football, and especially being a walk-on. Like, we had to swallow a lot of pride in the years that we were there because UT was not great. So you got to get kicked in the teeth, and you got to smile and put your horns up, and you got to go back to work the next day. And that happens in life a lot, you know, and you get used to those things. I think if you asked a third party, like if Eddie was still on and you asked him what's a similarity between me and Logan, he'd say we're both super sarcastic. And that's a lot of how Logan and I like initially related to each other.
Well, that's how we handled it.
Yeah.
Right? It was just being like, oh, I love this. This is great. I love the
awesome.
up downs. This is the best thing in the world. But yeah. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Trey, what's Logan's superpower?
His genius level intellect, and the fact that if he so chose, he could.
Like, has it ever helped you in any situation? Like, you ever used his brain to like help you out with something, anything?
Helped
maybe homework, not homework, but like, you know.
Me personally, no, I don't think so.
Trey's pretty self-reliant though, like saying that. Like, Trey doesn't necessarily need a lot of help. Like, I don't know, like as far as like if you ask me my superpower is like someone like, I'll just fucking figure shit out. Like I'll figure out a way to do it. Trey's the same fucking way.
Is that Trey's superpower?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. Like Trey's gonna grind through it, and like Trey will figure out a way to get it done.
We always used to joke that like walk-ons were like work trucks, and like people come out to see, you know, the scholarship guys, you know, the big bulldozers or the sports cars, whatever. But like, you know, what's towing that stuff around is a work truck, you know, pulling a trailer.
Maynard.
And like, you know, if you needed a walk-on to get something done and like pull the big load for the day and like do it, like we could fill in, you know, like we're capable, but we're good. Just like general, like jack of all trades, like we can figure it out. So that's why, like, when I talked about having guys you can call that, you know, like will help you out, we're also all really self-reliant. And like, if you were going to drop somebody in the woods and just like know that they would make it back okay, I would pick any of the guys that I walked on with before I'd pick a random person off the street. Cause like, you're going to figure it out.
It's like, I don't know where I am, but like I can figure one thing out that I know and then just go from there.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of has that mindset.
Okay. Pick a movie title to describe y'all's relationship.
Step Brothers.
That's a good choice.
You gotta.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Hey.
What's the most embarrassing moment y'all have had together?
Embarrassing. Besides like UT football losses?
We actually rehashed this story fairly recently, the last time I saw Logan, but I made Logan's little brother cry one time, like in a very, not public setting, but like in front of his whole family. And it was not my intention. And I felt really bad, but like I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
So to explain.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. So we were on they were kind enough to invite me on their family vacation to Port A over like a long weekend in the summer. And so I was meeting, I think, Logan's sister for the first time. Logan has a younger sister. Logan's older brother was there. And then I think Nolan was there.
Yeah, Nolan was there, and then like my technically like baby brother, 10 years younger than me, my little brother was there.
Yeah, so Logan's youngest brother was there, and they had like a housekeeper, like nanny, who
Basically, like my little brother's like second mother.
yeah, like his second mom, so has kind of half raised this kid, and Colvin's like 8 or 9 at this point, like a young kid. And he told a story about crashing a golf cart into a garage door.
One time Colvin was unsupervised while Juanita, who was like his second mother, was like at the house. Like Colvin somehow like snuck out of the house. There was a little like golf cart in front of the garage door. Colvin hopped in the driver's seat, hit the gas, drove through the garage door.
Yeah.
And so Trey made a comment of like, someone should have been around to stop that,
yeah,
right?
all I said was like, leaving the kid unsupervised was maybe not the best move. Something to that effect.
Colvin heard that and took that as like, he wants my second mother fired and out on the streets, and like was just upset.
Yeah, he took it as me just like impugning this woman's character. And like, to this day, I've never met Juanita. I'm sure she's lovely.
She is.
But I was like, let's maybe not let the 7-year-old in the golf cart unsupervised. And he was just crying. We were on our way to breakfast, and Colvin's just sobbing in the back seat, and Logan's mom is kind of staring daggers at me in the rear view. And I was like, sorry, I hope to be invited back next year. The condo was lovely. You all have been great. That's my time here at the Apollo. Thank you.
I also remember that time you came for like the Father's Day, and you ate, my dad like cooked like so many steaks. Trey knocked out like 3, 4 or 5 steaks, maybe. I don't know. Trey ate so much meat that day. It was insane.
But what else did I do?
You also cleaned the dishes.
I also cleaned the entire kitchen and did all the dishes.
Yeah.
Which your mom cried about.
He's a class act. All right. No one denies it.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a question. Just think about it, and then I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna double check the mics real quick, just because that recorder's new, so they cut it. They shouldn't have cut off.
Understood.
What is each one of y'all's best physical features from the other ones? So
like I have to tell you Trey's, and he has to tell me mine.
Yes.
Trey's beard has always been impeccable.
Thank you.
Did you have a beard in college?
Yeah.
I had a beard in college. It was a shitty college kid beard.
No, it's always been a solid beard. Sometimes you would go clean shaven and it would throw me off.
Right when I got to college, I had the like the kind of half-assed mustache and a chin strap beard that is like the standard. They give you that with like a couple of shitty posters.
Like,
say it again.
All for one. Like John B, like white hip hop R&B,
yes.
like chin strap beard.
Well, keep in mind, like I'm seeing this, and like I have like these like this like little peach fuzz on my chin. I'm just like looking at Trey, just like what a man, like what a beard.
What's Logan's best feature?
Logan, I was always jealous of Logan's height.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
If I could have been tall like Logan Mills, I'd be getting paid millions right now.
It is amazing to look down on others in a physical sense. I will be.
In addition to the metaphorical sense.
Yes.
They go hand in hand.